I came from a long line of broken, courageous, and inspiring women, most of whom had lost their innocence to a world gone blind. They suffered in silence, doing what they could to survive. Some escaped and traveled great distances over tumultuous seas or ground, overcoming obstacle after obstacle to find her peace. Some lost their lives to the hands that perpetrated the final beating. What they all had in common was they tried to warn us, each unique in their own way. They had no choice but to put it on display. After all, that is the human way. All the different women around you would say, "Watch out for Uncle so-and-so," or "Pappy what's-his-name," "Stay away from your brother's friend," or "your cousin whoever." We all heard those warnings growing up. By a show of hands, tell me how many of you knew what the hell they meant. None of us did, until something happened, and then we said, that's what she meant. Some of our grandmothers and great aunts stuffed it so far down inside they couldn't dare bear it. It would tear their psyche apart. They did their best to hide their broken parts and battle scars, using many and varied tools to mend the seeping wounds. Some were more successful than others at hiding their pain. Somewhere along the line, they got lost in the idealistic force of love, only to realize the man she loves also comes from a long line of broken, courageous, and inspiring women who each did the best she could with the tools she acquired. My own mother is the strongest woman I know. She suffered childhood traumas too. I will not cover those here, as that is not my story to tell. But what I can tell you about my amazing mom is that she has been through it all. I remember when I was 3 years old, my biological father had her locked in a closet. He was screaming, and I could hear my mom was crying. I could hear chains rattling. 2 of my mom's sisters were there, as well as my biological father's brother, and everyone was in a panic. My father was trying to get my mom to do something or say something. I'm not sure, but he was hell-bent on getting his way, whatever it was. I would chalk it up to a psychotic break due to the recent death of my baby sister, but this wasn't his first episode, and unfortunately, it wouldn't be his last. My biological father had me sitting at the edge of a bed. He opens the closet door, and I see that he has chains wrapped all around my mom. He pulls her out, and he has her against the wall, choking her and screaming at her. Then he lets her go, backs up, and throws a knife at her while she's begging him to stop. He grabs a double-barrel shotgun and puts it to my forehead. I can remember the feel of the cold metal as it touched my skin. Staring straight into the eyes of our source, I felt, or I seen, a bright light, heard a loud boom, and experienced a slight smell similar to burnt meat. The next thing I heard was my uncle screaming that the cops were coming. I don't recall hearing any sirens, but I know it was divine grace that we walked out of there that day. My mom has unfathomably survived the loss of not 1 but 2 daughters, her 2nd and 4th child. After recently losing my own daughter, I can't convey to you in words the amount of strength it takes to overcome something like that. If you've been in that situation, you know. Now, I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke up anyone's ass. It's true, she wasn't a perfect parent. She's a flawed human just like the rest of us. She might be bent, but she is no longer broken. She has pulled together the pieces of her life and is healing one step at a time. She's changed a lot since she was that lovesick teenager, but even today she focuses on love and faith to get her through. I am damn proud of the woman she is. Often we don't think of it as kids, but as we're growing up, our parents are too. They're growing into the people who will become our children's grandparents. It is because each one of those that came before me that I stand here today, a strong woman who may sometimes bend, but who will never break. I remember sitting in the flower garden with my great-grandmother and her telling me, if I listen, really, really listen, the spirits are telling me stories to guide my way. I later read in her journal about a message Chief Crazy Horse left, and she had so hoped and prayed that it was true. In 1877, Chief Crazy Horse of the Oglala Lakota Sioux delivered a translation of his vision, stating that in 7 generations' time, all colors of human would unite and live peacefully under the 7th generation principle. The 7th generation principle takes its name from the great law of the people whose name begins with H that I'm not going to try and butcher here, which in the language of the Confederates took the meaning the 5 recognized tribes, which according to 7gen Foundation is the oldest living participatory democracy on earth. It is based on an ancient Iroquois philosophy that in every deliberation we must consider the impact of our decisions on the next 7 generations. The Constitution of the Iroquois Nation, the great binding law, explains 7th generation philosophy as follows. The thickness of your skin shall be 7 spans, which is to say that you shall be proof against anger, offensive action, and criticism. Your heart shall be filled with peace and goodwill, and your mind filled with a yearning for the welfare of the people. With endless patience you shall carry out your duty, and your firmness shall be tempered with the tenderness for your people. Neither anger nor fury shall find lodgment in your mind, and all of your words and actions shall be marked with calm deliberation. In all of your deliberations in the council, in your efforts at lawmaking, in all your official acts, self-interest shall be cast into oblivion. Cast not over your shoulder behind you the warnings of the nieces and the nephews, should they chide you for any error or wrongdoing you may do, but return to the way of the great law which is just and right. Look and listen for the welfare of the whole people, and have always in view not only the present but also the coming generations, even those whose faces are yet beneath the surface of the ground, the unborn of the future nation. In other words, tame the wolf within. This philosophy is not unique to just the Iroquois Nation. Many Native American nations, tribes, and other indigenous people around the world have and still live by this philosophy today. Have you heard the winds telling you of the coming change? Can you feel it calling out to you from within your veins? We are the ones we have been waiting for. We are the seeds of hope germinated in generations of bloody wars. We are not our past. We are the generations that know things have to change. We can feel it in our bones. Our soul knows unity is close. If we listen really, really close, we can hear the spirits telling us, this darkness is not the darkness of a tomb. This is the darkness of a womb. May what we birth into the world today nurture and protect the next 7 generations to come. In Lakek Alakin. Cheryl Rain Carter, thank you so much for joining me.
Follow me on social media or join me on Patreon for exclusive content.
Thank you so much for joining me.